I've been thinking about the last video that I posted yesterday about am I enjoying this, doing stand up and doing this channel and putting myself out there like this because it is uncomfortable. It's exciting, but really uncomfortable. A lot of big stuff has been coming up, and to and so the question is like, well, why am I doing this? What's the point? And I think it started. This whole thing really started at Burning Man this past August. So just over a year ago, I was at Burning Man, and I left my camp for the day and I was just sort of wandering around. I didn't really have a plan. I was out cruising on my bike, and I came across this tent that was like, it was like a dream tent. It had all these dream catchers. It was really beautiful, like white fabric blowing in the wind and dream catchers and everything. And I dropped in on this lecture that was just starting, and I had no idea what it was or what I was coming into, but there was kind of a feeling, like I was feeling this calling to like go into this tent. And so I go in, I lay down, and I start listening to this Russian woman talk about dreams. And what she was saying is specifically about nightmares. And basically what she was saying was that if you're having nightmares, if you, like, everybody has a nightmare, they have a fear, and if, in relation to dreams, it's like, well, if you're having a nightmare, especially if it's a recurring nightmare, that the thing to do, the way to resolve it is to go towards it. In a nightmare, in a dream, we typically will run away. We get scared. We don't, we avoid it. We want to get away from the nightmare. And what she was saying was that what you need to do is to go towards it. You approach it. You ask it questions, and you approach it fearlessly. And you by asking it questions and observing it, you are learning about it. You are trying to get to know this thing. What does it want? What is this monster? The example that she was using was somebody in the group was saying that she was having a recurring nightmare about aliens, and these aliens would in every dream they'd be eating people, like the corpses of people, and like chewing on their abdomen and stuff, just like gnawing at this flesh, like human flesh. And it was this recurring nightmare that this woman was having. And what the Russian woman was saying was so you go towards the alien, you watch it, you observe it, and you want, the goal is to understand as deeply as you can what this thing is about, and that there's exercises you can do. It's like you observe it in the dream, and then in your waking life you can do things like act like the alien, move how it moves, make the sounds that it makes. What does it want? Like what does this nightmare alien desire? What is it looking for? What's it trying to tell you? It's there. It's in your dream for a reason, and it's trying to communicate something to you. And the goal is to embody the alien, the nightmare. You become the nightmare, and you integrate it. And by doing that, not only do you neutralize the fear, the nightmare goes away because you've alchemized it, but in doing so, you also gain all of the power of the nightmare, all of the strengths, and all of the terrors, all of the horrible, the capacity for terror. Is also within you now, and that's a power that you have should you choose to use it. But this is how you alchemize and integrate your shadow. Like, ultimately, the nightmare, the alien, is you. Everything in your dream is a reflection of you. It's a part of you, and the parts that are scary are trying to tell you something. It's like your shadow and your unconscious, your subconscious, trying to communicate something to you that can no longer be ignored. You've been running away from this thing and avoiding it, and you can't do that any longer. And so now it's presenting itself in your dreams in the form of these archetypes and these stories in order to bring attention to this thing that you're ignoring. And ultimately, this thing is you. It's in you. So you can't run away from it, and it's unhealthy to run away from it, because you're compartmentalizing a part of yourself and saying that it's the other. You're like, it's like, you're creating this like boundary between you and the fear that you don't want to look at. And so this is how you alchemize your fears, is by going towards the nightmare. And so this really stuck with me. This talk really hit home for me somehow. Like, it was just like, this is what I needed to hear in that moment. And since then, this theme has been developing. This theme is becoming louder and louder in my life, which is to go towards the things that I'm afraid of. And in knowing that by doing that, I'm integrating it, I'm facing it, and thus becoming, absorbing the powers of that fear. Not like, one is just like neutralizing it and realizing that like there's a fear, you go towards it, you face it, you do the thing, and then you realize that actually it wasn't that scary to begin with. And in a way, it's like that's where the growth is, because it's like you discover that, and then it becomes an ally. It becomes a power. And so that's become a big theme in a lot of areas of my life since then, over the last year. It's been manifesting in ways. In the beginning, it was manifesting in ways that were like out of my control. It was like there were things happening where it was as if my subconscious was the one driving the story, driving the narrative, and it was pulling me towards these things. And at first I was like, oh no, like I don't don't go there. I don't want this to happen. I don't want to manifest this situation. I don't want this to become real. Like, yes, there's this fear, and of course I don't want that to happen, but because it was a fear, I was giving it attention, and then it was growing. And so these fears would grow until I was like it was like this gravity pulling me into it. And there were times when I was like watching it happen. It was like these events were unfolding, and I was just sitting there, almost like in the back of my head, like an observer, like, oh my God, like what's happening? I don't like, don't do this. Why are you creating this situation? And it was this feeling that it was like my subconscious was like, no, this is what we're doing. Like, ultimately, this is what we want, and you're just along for the ride. So buckle up. As I was sort of waking up to this thing that was happening, pretty soon it was like, well, what I need to do something about this, because I don't want this to, I don't want this to be happening in ways that are not preferable. And so then it was like, okay, well, I'm just going to consciously do these things then, because I would rather do it on my own terms. Which also I admit is somehow like another fear. It's like a fear of letting go or something, that like I'm even in this thing, I'm still trying to like maintain control of like how I'm going to face the fears. So maybe that's like another thing to look at. It gets very like Inception, but it just became this conscious thing of like a practice to face my fears. For me, this is like pretty new stuff. I know this isn't like groundbreaking, theories or something, but for me, this is my own journey in this. And so I started to do this as a conscious practice. Now another theme that's been coming up, and this is, especially around like business stuff, is, the whole fail fast mantra. And the idea is like you just test things out. You don't know what's going to work, and so just throw stuff against the wall and and this is the process by that you follow to arrive at the good ideas that are worth pursuing. And so I've been thinking about that a lot, like growing into that and integrating that more and more into my process. And then I guess that all these things have kind of come together, because what I'm excited about right now is this, using my voice, speaking up, coming out, publishing things, starting a channel, doing stand up, getting in front of people and talking. And for me, this is I'm feeling this calling to do this. I'm not really sure why. I don't know where this is going. Right now, I'm not really trying to force it anywhere. I'm enjoying being in that sort of creative space where I don't really know what this is yet. As I'm doing this, what I'm finding, the question of like, why am I doing this if this is uncomfortable, keeps coming up. I really do believe that the more authentic you can be in the world and putting yourself out there, the more truthful and authentic and real and vulnerable you can be, the more you're putting out your vibration into the world, just whatever that is, without trying to make it something different. And so you're putting out this vibration, and in doing that, the universe and your reality will orient itself around this in a really powerful way. And so this is the theory that this is actually what I'm experimenting with. This is the theory, is that the more you can do this, the more the better your reality will be, because it'll be constructed according to you, not something that you think you are or you're trying to be, but actually your real authentic self. Now, the thing about experiments and testing is that in order for it to be a true experiment, you can't know that it's going to work. If you go into the experiment already knowing that something works, then that's not an experiment. You already know that. And I think this is the sort of boundary that I'm exploring with myself, is trying to push past what, I do a lot of experiments that I think are experiments, but really it's like I have a pretty good idea of what the outcome is. But this is playing with that boundary of like, pushing myself into the space where I have a theory, I have an idea. I really don't know if it's going to work. I don't know if it's a good idea, a bad idea. It's either going to be amazing or the worst idea I've ever had. but that's the whole point. That like, that's the experiment, and that's what makes it an experiment. And this is what I'm excited about. It's like I'm the channel, using my voice, putting myself out there. That's one boundary that I'm pushing. That is like, and I can't choose what I'm excited about. This is just what this is just what I'm genuinely excited about right now. And then, but then also the sort of underlying framework of that is this sort of bigger meta experiment of like, I don't know if this is going to work. I don't know what, like, I don't even know what working means. I'm throwing shit against the wall, and I'm not really even sure what it is that I'm hoping it does. But somehow that's the most exciting thing. Like that's what this is what gets my adrenaline going. This gets my heart rate up, because I'm doing things that are potentially uncomfortable. I have these theories, but I don't know if this is going to work. And testing the theory is it's bringing up these things that then I have to then remove myself from the results. It's an exercise in releasing my expectations, letting go of my expectations around the outcome, and trying to get to this place where I'm genuinely trying something out. I don't know how it's going to work out, and then I get the results, and I can be surprised by them, but at the end of the day, I just need to accept the results.